with Gautam Gambhir replacing Rahul Dravid as head coach and Rohit Kohli and Jadeja retiring from T20Is, a transition was expected, and a transition is what we are getting. So Suryakumar Yadav has been named captain of the T20I side heading to Sri Lanka, and perhaps surprisingly, Shubman Gill has been elevated to the position of vice captain, and he's vice captain in the ODIs also. So I asked, let's take it one man at a time. So what do you think of Sky as captain, and do you think it could be a bit of a transitional role?
I mean, transition apart, yes, there is a transition because you've got a new captain or somebody who had to replace Rohit Sharma. You've got a new coach in. There are some new players who will come in. Obviously, that is the transition we're talking about. But there's been a turn. There's been a twist in the story, isn't it, Anirudh? Because the projection was that Hardik Pandya would be the captain of the T20 team, and then the Test team obviously it's going to be Rohit, and ODI is going to be Rohit. But here you've got Suryakumar Yadav coming has been appointed captain. Now he's captained earlier, 7 matches earlier, but he wasn't in many ways. He wasn't the front runner for the job. Everybody thought that Hardik, especially after Hardik had done extremely well in the T20 World Cup, he had a very below par season in the IPL season. So, but that was in the past. Now, obviously, I think there has been some kind of heat, quite strong debate, I would imagine, between the new coach, between the selectors, between whoever else is involved in these decisions. And they have, for whatever reason, decided not to give the captaincy to Hardik. It could be, as is being projected, that it's to do with his, fitness, the workload management and the fitness management. And if he's not consistently available, as seemed to be the case in the past, though he's not said that at all, then it makes sense to have somebody else as a captain. In which case, Surya Kumar Yadav is a very good fit. So I think there is a story behind the story. We'll have to wait and see how this unravels. Now, Shubman Gill becoming the vice captain in both, I think is a sign, a clear sign of a succession plan being put in place. I would imagine that when the test engagements come along, he'll probably be the deputy over there too to Rohit Sharma, because it seems like KL Rahul has gone a couple of steps behind and Shubman Gill has gone a couple of steps ahead. But really, the big story over the last few days is Suryakumar Yadav pipping Hardik Pandya to the post, as it were, in getting the T20 captaincy.
Yeah, and my next question was about to be about Hardik Pandya, who remember that he captains Suryakumar Yadav in the IPL, and his return to Bombay was controversial, and he had a really bad IPL, as you were saying. But he was certainly turned up in that T20 World Cup and won India the final. But where does this leave him now mentally?
Well, it's interesting because he's not part of the ODI team, so he's doing some, he's got, also embroiled in personal problems, so to speak, from which I would imagine he's, disengaging himself or coming out, whatever it might be. That's his personal issue. But it does play a part, I mean, when you're not consistently available, if you say that I can understand about Rohit and Virat, the kind of age that they are in, and you want to use them selectively, but they're there for the ODIs in Sri Lanka. So I think Hardik Pandya has been a bit of a roller coaster for him. But he needs to, I think there needs to be a kind of a settled approach as to how Hardik is going to be used in Indian cricket. I think he's got tremendous value, obviously in T20, but also in ODIs. And I know that there are proponents, like maybe even I think I read somewhere about Sunil Gavaskar or Ravi Shastri saying he should not be completely discounted even from Test cricket, provided he makes himself fit and available. So I think that's really the issue. But it also shows that the Pandya Suryakumar Yadav kind of switch that has happened also shows that this Gambhir's tenure could be pretty action packed. As a coach.
Yeah, and I saw a meme on social media saying it showed Gautam Gambhir going up to Jasprit Bumrah and saying, "Will you open now?" Because that's the approach with Sunil Narayan. So coming to Bumrah, so a lot of us was expecting that, like, him being India's arguably most important player and having a great tactical brain, that he could be captain. Do you think it's the same injury scare, or that he has to be rested across formats, that held him a step back from Shubman Gill, who's opening a top order batsman and is more likely to be available around the calendar?
Yeah, that seems to be the most likely reason, though I'm not completely convinced that it is necessarily the right way of thinking, because the old thought that bowlers as captains could either over bowl or under bowl themselves, and and in Bumrah's case it becomes even more critical, so to speak, because he's the spearhead. He's India's number one, if I may say so. He's India's number one player now, and so much is vested in how he performs. So there is this need to make sure that he's not under too much duress. But I don't know. Sometimes captaincy can bring out the best in you, can make you perform better. And I think that whatever I've seen of Bumrah, he's a very ambitious guy. He loves to be in the thick of things. He loves to be in a leadership position. So, he's captained India once. That's because the others were not available. But even so, I think right now, and for Gambhir, this will be a challenge because he's got two captains to deal with. One is for T20s, the other is for Tests and ODIs. And not just that, within the teams, there are guys who've been captains, are captains. For instance, Hardik Pandya, and Suryakumar Yadav is captain, but Hardik has also been captain earlier. So has KL Rahul. In Test cricket, there's Virat and Rohit, of course, but there's Pant and there's Bumrah. So I think managing the dynamics of the dressing room will be his foremost task now for Gautam Gambhir. Obviously, also the captain. This is a joint responsibility. It's not only the responsibility of the coach. In fact, if I might add here, I think the captain's role becomes even more paramount because the captain's role in cricket itself is so distinctive and so important that he has to be in complete control in the dressing room and on the field.
Yeah. And so, lastly, the Women's Asia Cup starts today, and India take on Pakistan. Now, India head into the tournament as favourites, but I think this will give us a clearer picture of where the team is at heading into the T20 World Cup in October. So, what are you expecting from the tournament?
I think the women's team has been on a winning streak. It's a fabulous winning streak. They've been playing so well, especially the top order, the bowlers. So I think right now, what's important for women's cricket, for India certainly, but generally in women's cricket is more and more international competitions and more international exposure to raise the bar to a level where women's cricket. The big thing that has happened in the last 4 5 years, especially with the arrival of the women's IPL, is that women's cricket has come to be accepted by spectators and sponsors. That's the big hurdle that has been crossed. Now you have to, give it that kind of meat and flesh in terms of competition and contests. And yes, it's an India versus Pakistan match in the Asia Cup women's cricket, but is that as riveting, as engaging, as exciting as the men's contest? We'll have to wait and see because Pakistan women's team looks to me quite, lagging far behind the Indian women's cricket team, at least so far. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
Yeah, and we'll wait and see, and we'll bring you the updates from the Asia Cup and the upcoming series against Sri Lanka, and also the Olympics coming from next week.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the big thing on the agenda, isn't it? Sports agenda. I think the big story will be the Olympics over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Leave aside cricket in Sri Lanka. And my thing would be to see if we can crack that, get into double digits in number of medals at the Olympics.
Yeah, so like I said, from next week we'll also be bringing updates from the Olympics, and fingers crossed, everyone, that India pipped their medal tally at Tokyo, which was 7, the highest in an edition, and India seems to be set to pick that target. So we'll keep bringing you the updates. So that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks. Cheers.